as Josh likes to make fun of me for saying, but they are. However, the clouds are rolling in super fast. I haven't even been out here an hour, and it was completely blue sky, no clouds anywhere, and now the clouds are everywhere. You know, nice puffy clouds. What is it, cumulus clouds? But yes, you can definitely tell the humidity is going to break, so I'm going to try to beat that before I get wet. Time to cruise. And as I mentioned, the views continued to remain similar, though slightly different, as I made my way along the horseshoe, with Big Crow getting further and further away, while Weston Mountain was getting closer and closer, and looking a lot bigger too. There's over half a dozen summit-type ledges throughout this hike, so the short trail just naturally breaks itself up in a very pleasing way. But after going over the ledge and enjoying the views, time to go right back into the woods. So in I went, up, over, and down, onto the next ridge, up, over, and down. So I'm probably a mile in since I turned onto the ridge walk from the junction, and I'm dropping down, losing some elevation as the trail kind of wraps around this ridge up to my right. And then once I get into the col, I'll be shooting straight back up. So that will be happening. But yeah, so far so good. A nice, quiet, very quiet afternoon in the woods. At this point, the clouds were beginning to come in, and it started to look like, yep, this chance of afternoon thunderstorms was looking really, really likely. And thanks to the humidity, the sky was getting darker and darker. So while I was hoping it wouldn't rain, it was seeming like the rain is coming. So I continued through the woods, enjoying the very quiet woods that it was. And about 2 miles after leaving the trailhead, I found myself coming face to face with the Dawn Wall. Just kidding. Great rock climbing movie, though, if you're into that sort of thing. But the trail does come right to the base of a 20 to 25 foot rock wall. And I have now come face to face with a nice giant rock ledge, probably 20 feet high, which I'll be going around to the right of. Or since I've seen Free Solo, I'll just climb right up it. I see a nice crack. I'm just going to climb right up real quick. Real quick, just going to climb right up because I'm basically an expert since I've seen those movies. So it was time to do some rock climbing. I'm just kidding again. There are a lot of outdoor activities that I'm really into, but rock climbing, not one of them. But fortunately, the trail skirts around to the right of the cliffs and climbs up to the top, where I came out onto yet another summit-type rocky ledge. So, of course, I took off the pack, had a swig and a snack, and took it all in. Little sip of Noon water, took a picture. A lovely, spontaneous summer afternoon day on the trail. Well, I made it up the ledge, which is really cool, really nice. And up here you have just under 180-degree views of the high peaks and the Sentinel Range. And hurricane still. A lot more clouds in the sky now, though, and they're getting slightly darker. The rain is going to break at some point, so I'm going to continue. However, this ledge that I'm on, pretty terrific, pretty great. This ledge in particular was cool, and it's quite large, and it actually wraps around the northwestern slope of the ridge quite a ways, probably about 50 yards. So I had to explore that a little bit and walk up and down the ridge before going back into the woods onto the trail. And as I explored the ledge, I saw another ledge way up above that I assumed the trail would probably end up at. But after a little while, it was time to go back, so I walked back down the ledge to get back on the trail to go back in the woods. So I just finished exploring the big open ledge, which just kind of went on and on and on forever. So that was cool. So I pretty much walked down the whole thing. Checked it out, checked the view. It's about a good 60 yards. Nice open ledge, climbing higher and higher, so that was cool. The trail itself, however, is pretty much right where you went out onto the ledge, so if you do go and explore, you got to come all the way back. It's worth it, though. And now I'm about to climb up another rock, another 20-footer. That's just, what a fun little trail. And despite the fact that this trail has so many places to enjoy and views to see, even though this wasn't part of the trail, of course I had to go check it out. Once you see a big open ledge, it's like a tractor beam. Sucks you right in. But after doing that exploring and going back to the tree line, it was time to continue hiking up, back into the woods. I continued climbing up the dirt spruce line trail, and of course, a couple minutes later, I came out onto yet another rocky ledge. Awesome. Well, I'm about 2.5 miles in, enjoying a nice swig here on another very open rock ledge, overlooking the high peaks. If you like hikes with constant in the trees, back out of the trees for views, in the trees, back out of the trees for views, this is a good one. 100%. Remember earlier in the podcast when I said that these views and these ledges don't get old? Yeah, they definitely don't. In and out, in and out. I love it. I didn't stay here very long, though, and I continued moving since I was still trying to beat that impending thunderstorm coming above me. So I'm just cruising on a very flat, windy little 12-inch wide dirt and slab trail with moss on both sides. Just winding and cruising through the woods towards Dirt Coal Hill here. Really nice little area. Super quiet. Like if you just stop moving and just stand there, there is no sound. No birds chirping, no chipmunks, nothing. Very quiet day. Up here, just the sound of the wind. But yeah, that trail, part of the trail kind of reminded me of the Northville Placid Trail for a bit, except we're way higher in elevation up here. Just cruising on through the loop, looping around this little area here, way up high in the sky. So far, so good. However, it was at this point into the hike, just under 2.5 miles from the trailhead, where I started to feel a slight nagging tightness, discomfort, if you will, in and around my left knee. Oh no, not again, I thought to myself. This cannot be happening, no. So, a quick backstory. 2.5 weeks earlier, Josh and I enjoyed a half rain-filled, half sunshine day out in the Santanoni Range, which isn't a super high mileage day, and it's what I would dub a pretty typical high peaks type of day, about 18 miles or so. However, after we finished Panther, the third peak of the day, and began heading back down towards Bradley Pond, out of nowhere I felt my left knee slowly start to feel tight, and then as I continued over the final 5 or 6 miles of the hike, the knee just continued getting tighter and tighter and tighter. It went from being an odd type of discomfort, you know, one of those, this is strange and new, oh well, it's probably fine, to a full-fledged, painful, slow, hobbling limp the final couple miles out of the woods, where some steps were so painful where it just takes your breath away and you see stars for a second. Oof. And I've never really had any knee issues, whether I'm out on the trail or inside the weight room, and there wasn't any sort of indicator or moment where something seemed to go wrong. It was all pretty much business as usual on that day in the Santanoni Range. But anyways, it was absolutely brutal. Thank God it didn't start feeling that way out to Cuxakraga, though, am I right? Oddly enough, though, I could barely walk, and I could barely bend my knee without significant pain by the time Josh and I finally got to the car. I couldn't even do an air squat if you paid me. And then the next morning, when I woke up, the knee was probably 70% back to normal. And then the following day, 2 days later, it was 100%, and I was able to do some squatting and deadlifting that day. So the ratio of take your breath away pain and not being able to bend the knee one day after my hike to less than 48 hours later being able to squat and deadlift with no pain or any issue, it's made no sense to me. All I knew was the same pain that I felt in the Santanoni Range started to creep up on me again, and I wasn't even halfway through this short hike. So that was some bad news. But as I'm one to do, I blocked it out the best I could, rubbed some dirt on it, and just kept walking. And the knee kept getting tighter. This was not good. All I could do is keep hiking into the woods along the ridge with little moments of slight elevation gain up to a ledge and then back into the woods, losing that elevation to get into the coal, and repeat like this hike does. The knee, however, as the day progressed, was getting worse and worse. Exactly what I hoped would not happen, but it did. But I kept pushing it, hiking along the Soda Range Trail towards Cold Dirt Hill and Weston Mountain, while Lost Pond sat patiently awaiting my arrival in the valley below. With the keyword being patiently, because the way things were going, it was going to take me a long time to get there. Nice and quiet up here on another big rock ledge that I'm standing on. If I were to fall off of this, that would be a good, 75-foot drop down into the woods. But really great day right now. The clouds are a bit on the scary side right now. Maybe I'll get lucky here. Anyways, heading towards Weston Mountain, which is 3,200 feet elevation and the highest part of this little ridge loop trail. Here we go. As the trail continues around the ridge and approaches the 2,900-foot Cold Dirt Hill, it comes out onto the longest exposed section of the trail, which I will say was a real mental pick-me-up given the physical battles going on in my stupid, worthless, injured knee. This section's around a quarter of a mile of exposed rock walking as you head towards Weston Mountain, which is towering directly in front of you. So it's pretty cool. And on this ledge, my knee passed the, okay, it's getting tight, I hope that Santinoni situation doesn't get worse, and become full-fledged, oh no, it's even worse than the Santinoni situation, and I haven't even climbed up to the tallest point on the ridge yet. Things were not looking good. I was moving slow and only getting slower, and the clouds were getting darker and darker. I guess the only thing that would make this day worse would be limping back to the trail soaking wet, right? Wouldn't that be awesome? So anyways, as I slowly headed towards Weston Mountain, along the open slab in front of Cold Dirt Hill, it felt almost as if the mountain was staring at me, laughing at me, saying, "Aw, James, your widow knee hurts? Oh no, you gotta climb up me first. Oh, your stupid widow knee is in pain." Yeah, it sucked bad, but that's what I felt like the mountain was saying to me. And as someone with a very high threshold for pain, along with having grown up with and had the whole just rub some dirt on it and get back in there, you're fine mentality instilled in me from a young age, the only thing I could do was just slowly limp out of the woods, even if I couldn't bend my knee without insane pain. Oh, it's a good thing that hiking is the type of activity where you never have to bend your knee, and you never have to put any weight on it whatsoever by climbing up or down anything. So I had that going for me, right? At this point, I came to the end of the open ridge and I slowly climbed down the slab back into the woods, and I moved east towards my final destination of the day, Weston Mountain. Well, I just finished walking along that open ridge that I was on for quite a while, staring at Weston Mountain as I was moving closer and closer to it before finally dropping back into the woods. And I am now in a extremely thick forest, and it's really dark. One of those forests where as soon as you walk into it, you're like, is it nighttime now? The trees are so dense. But yeah, there's Weston Mountain right in front of me now. A little view through the trees here. Looks pretty high up there, but that's where I'm headed. As I approached the col to go up to Weston Mountain, the rugged and often unforgiving mountains of the Adirondacks rained down on me. No, it did not rain water. It rained mercy. Just before leaving the exposed rocks, I noticed the sky in the high peaks was dark and angry, but the sky above the Soda Range now was once again blue sky. Ah, thank God. It wasn't raining here, and the thunderstorms completely missed me. You guys thought it was going to rain, though, didn't you? You did. It's okay, you can say it. You thought it was going to rain. The trail up Weston Mountain also showed mercy on me today, too. The final climb to Weston from the col, which is half a mile and 450 feet of gain, which could have been brutal, but the trail is actually a very consistent and pretty gradual climb with no steep moments. Just a consistent incline that, given the state of my knee, was